All right, so get this, folks. We are diving deep into some research today about living longer and healthier. And let me tell you, it's not just about adding years to your life. It's about adding good years. You know what I mean? We're going to be uncovering some pretty awesome strategies to help all of us thrive as we age. Like, did you know that a simple nap could actually boost your heart health? It's true. We're going to dive into that and more so. Buckle up.
Yeah, it's fascinating how much control we actually have over our own longevity. The research you've gathered really highlights just how big of a role our lifestyle choices play in how well we age.
It's crazy, right? So first up, let's talk about what we're putting into our bodies. 18 Secrets for a Longer Life talks about the Okinawa diet. And get this, it's being linked to the long lifespans of people in Okinawa, Japan. The thing is, younger generations who have moved away from this traditional way of eating, well, they just aren't living as long. It's kind of wake-up call for the power of our food choices, wouldn't you say?
I'd say so. The Okinawa diet is all about eating lots and lots of green and yellow vegetables. And it's about keeping our calorie intake low. They even practice something called hara hachibu. It means eating until you are 80% full. Mindful eating in action, right?
I love that. Habits to Form Now for a Longer Life mentions calorie restriction too. And it seems like there's a potential link between cutting back on calories and, living longer.
Yeah, studies on animals have actually shown that restricting calories can increase their lifespans. It's thought that doing that might slow down the aging process, maybe by giving ourselves more of a chance to repair themselves more efficiently. But it is really important to note that this is still being researched in humans. And drastically reducing calories, in the long term can actually be bad for you.
Yeah, so maybe we don't need to skip dessert just yet. But this source also talks about nuts being nutritional powerhouses. They said that eating just 3 servings of nuts every week was linked to a 39% lower risk of premature death. Pass the almonds, please.
I'm with you there. Nuts are full of the good stuff. Healthy fats, protein, fiber, and all of those antioxidants that protect our cells from damage. These things can actually work together to lower your risk of heart disease and high blood pressure, and even some cancers.
Okay, so nuts are definitely on the menu. It's amazing how much of a difference these little things can make. So both 18 Secrets for a Longer Life and longevity, lifestyle strategies, emphasize eating tons of fruits and veggies and whole grains and healthy fats. It's like this symphony of goodness going on inside your body.
Exactly, and there's a reason why these types of diets are linked to a longer life. It's because they're packed with antioxidants. Think of them like tiny shields that are protecting your cells from those harmful free radicals. Free radicals are unstable molecules that can damage your cells and contribute to aging. And plant-based diets, like the ones we just mentioned, they are full of these powerful little protectors.
All right, so we've covered fueling our bodies with good food, but what about keeping those bodies moving? I read this quote in How to Live Longer Without Getting Sick that really stuck with me. It said, if you can't get up from the toilet on your own, it's pretty much a one-way ticket to a care home. And I mean, it's funny, but it's also a really powerful reminder that strength and mobility are so important as we get older.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's not just about living longer. It's also about being able to maintain our independence and quality of life as we age. Longevity, lifestyle strategies, really stresses that regular physical activity is crucial for a strong heart, lungs, and muscles. And it helps with our balance and even preventing falls, which can, become more common as we age.
And you know what I like about longevity, lifestyle strategies?
Right.
It doesn't just say, like, go to the gym. It acknowledges that even everyday activities like cleaning or gardening, those count too.
And that's a really good point. It's about finding activities that you enjoy and that you can stick with for the long term. How to live longer without getting sick even recommends doing some light strength training, like carrying your groceries, or even those heavy bags of soil when you are gardening. It doesn't have to be about bodybuilding. It's just about building strength for everyday life.
The Lazarus Strategy, How to Age Well and Wisely, also emphasizes this whole idea of finding an exercise you love. They say, find something you're passionate about and do it religiously.
And the author of that book, Professor Lazarus, he's a great example of that. I mean, he completely transformed his own health, and he did it by taking up cycling when he was 50 years old. It shows that it's never too late to get started and experience the benefits.
So we've got our diet sorted, we're moving our bodies. What's next on our journey to a longer and healthier life?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. We're going to be looking at the mind-body connection, and we'll be exploring how cultivating a positive mindset can actually impact how long and how well we live.
Ooh, I like where this is going. Let's talk about the power of positivity. 18 Secrets for a Longer Life says that happiness can actually help you live longer. I mean, they even found that happier people had a 3.7% lower risk of early death. Pretty amazing, right? And there's that fascinating study with the nuns, remember?
Yeah, the nun study. So researchers looked at the autobiographies that nuns wrote when they were young, like around 22 years old. And what they found was pretty incredible. The nuns who expressed more positive emotions in what they wrote, they actually lived longer than those who didn't express as much positive emotion.
So it makes you wonder, are those positive vibes actually protecting them? It's like happiness is a superpower or something.
I don't know about superpowers. But longevity, lifestyle strategies, does support this idea. It points out how just having a more positive outlook can really impact our health. It's most likely linked to lower stress levels, and we already know that chronic stress can really damage our bodies over time.
So it's not just about green smoothies and hitting the gym. It's about taking care of our minds and our mental well-being as well. Speaking of things that are good for our minds and bodies, both 18 Secrets for a Longer Life and Habits to Form Now for a Longer Life really stress the importance of getting enough sleep.
Definitely. Longevity, lifestyle strategies, emphasizes that good sleep is crucial, throughout our lives. If we don't get enough sleep, it weakens our immune systems, and that leaves us open to all kinds of illnesses. Pasted text mentions that not getting enough sleep chronically, it can increase our risk for serious health problems down the road.
It's like our bodies need that time to rest and recharge, to repair themselves.
Okay.
But hold on, 18 Secrets for a Longer Life mentions something that almost seems too good to be true. They say that naps might actually help you live longer.
I know, right? It seems like those little siestas in the middle of the day might actually be more than just a luxury. The research is suggesting that taking a nap can reduce your risk of heart disease by as much as 37%. So it really does seem like those little power naps can give us some huge health benefits.
Before we move on, let's do a quick recap for our listeners. We've talked about the Okinawa diet and calorie restriction and how important it is to give our bodies nutrient-rich foods, like those amazing antioxidants.
Right. And we can't forget about staying active, even through everyday activities. It helps us maintain our strength, our balance, and our independence as we age.
Then we talked about that fascinating mind-body connection and how much of an impact happiness and a positive mindset can have on our longevity. And we also talked about how important it is to prioritize sleep, and even just squeezing in a quick nap can do wonders for our health. But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to talk about: the power of connection.
And this is a big one, because our social connections play a crucial role in how long and how well we live. 18 Secrets for a Longer Life really highlights this, saying that strong social ties are linked to a longer lifespan.
So friends are officially good for our health. But there's a catch, right? This source also says that our friends' habits can rub off on us. So choosing our friends wisely is important.
It is. If you're always around people who are making unhealthy choices, then it's going to be a lot harder to make healthy choices yourself. But if your friends are active and eat well and prioritize their own well-being, it can really have a positive impact on your life.
It's like having a support system for healthy living. Habits to Form Now for a Longer Life also talks about how our social networks can help us deal with stress. When we're going through tough times, having friends and family around to support us can really make all the difference in how well we cope. And we already talked about how dangerous chronic stress is.
Absolutely. Our connections make us feel like we belong. They give us purpose. And all that support can really help us deal with challenges in a much better way. Longevity, lifestyle strategies also talks about this, saying that socializing is a key to living longer and healthier. They even talked about a study where people who socialized more had a higher survival rate.
Wow, so it's not just about diet and exercise. Connection is really important too. But it's not just about having a ton of friends, is it? 18 Secrets for a Longer Life also talks about having a sense of purpose.
It's not just about quantity, you're right. It's about quality. Having a few close, meaningful relationships is much better than having tons of acquaintances. And you bring up a great point about purpose, that feeling that you have something meaningful to strive for in your life. It gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning, and it can be really powerful.
18 Secrets for a Longer Life phrases it really well. They say that having hobbies and activities that you're passionate about can actually help you live longer. It's like there's this fire lit inside of you, keeping you going.
I love that. And you know what's interesting? How to Live Longer Without Getting Sick says that we should try meditating to help us live longer.
Meditation. I get how that can help with stress,
Yeah.
but how does that tie into having a sense of purpose?
Well, meditation isn't just about relaxing. It can also help us connect with ourselves on a deeper level. And when we're more in tune with ourselves, we're better at knowing what's important to us, what gives our lives meaning.
So by being quiet and tuning into our inner selves, we can find that purpose that makes us feel alive.
Exactly. And it doesn't even have to be formal meditation. Doing things that bring you joy can have the same effect. Remember how the Lazarus strategy, how to age well and wisely, talked about finding an exercise that you love to do? Well, finding activities that give you that same sense of purpose can be just as amazing. It could be volunteering or being creative or learning something new or spending time with your loved ones. Anything that lights you up and makes you feel like you are living a life that matters.
It's like we're putting together this roadmap to a long and happy life. And it's incredible how much of it we have control over. Diet, exercise, mindset, sleep, connection, purpose. It's all connected, isn't it?
It is. It's a holistic approach to well-being, and every part supports and strengthens the others.
This has been such an incredible look into the world of longevity. We've learned so much from your research. I'm sure our listeners are feeling empowered to take control of their health and well-being.
It's been a pleasure to share all these insights with you and our listener. And remember, everyone, you have the power to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. It starts with making good choices, building healthy habits, and finding joy in the journey.
And maybe squeezing in a few power naps along the way.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget about those naps.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground today, but there's still so much more to explore. We're going to take a quick break and be right back to dive even deeper into this fascinating world of longevity and well-being. Welcome back, everyone. You know, it's easy to get caught up in all the details when we're talking about living longer and healthier. It can almost feel overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much information out there. It can definitely be a lot to take in.
So, how do we make sense of it all? Where do we even begin?
Well, I think a good place to start is to, not worry about being perfect. Don't get so focused on counting every calorie or obsessing about getting 8 hours of sleep every night.
So it's not about being superhuman. It's about finding a balance that works for each of us.
Exactly. Just focus on making small, gradual changes that you can actually stick with. It's about making those healthy habits part of your everyday life, not about trying to do everything perfectly all the time.
So it's like a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Exactly. And just like training for a marathon, you need to pace yourself, listen to your body, and, enjoy the process.
And that's something we really want to emphasize today. It's not about deprivation or punishment. It's about finding joy in taking care of ourselves, making choices that make us feel good both physically and mentally.
I couldn't agree more. It's about finding that sweet spot where healthy habits become like second nature, where you actually look forward to eating nutritious foods and moving your body, and you feel good about prioritizing your well-being.
It's like, when you find a workout that you actually enjoy.
Yeah.
You just naturally want to do it more. It doesn't feel like a chore.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing can happen with healthy eating. Once you start experimenting and finding healthy recipes that you love, you start looking forward to those meals.
So let's say someone is listening to this and they're feeling inspired to make some changes, but, they're feeling a little overwhelmed by all the information. What would you recommend as a good first step?
That's a good question. I'd say start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Pick 1 or 2 small, manageable changes that you can realistically stick with. Well, maybe it's adding an extra serving of vegetables to your dinner every night, or swapping out sugary drinks for water.
Or taking a 15-minute walk during your lunch break.
Yeah, those are all great examples. It's about making those small tweaks that add up over time. And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Right. We talked about how important our social connections are. So maybe find a friend or family member who wants to make some healthy changes too. You can support each other along the way.
Exactly. Having that accountability and support can make a big difference, especially when you're first getting started. And don't forget to celebrate your wins along the way.
Right. Every little victory counts.
It does, no matter how small it may seem. Whether it's drinking more water or going for a walk, take a moment to acknowledge your effort and be proud of yourself.
I think that's such an important point. It's so easy to focus on what we're not doing or what we need to improve on, but it's just as important to celebrate the progress we're making.
Yeah, it's about being kind to ourselves and recognizing that every step we take towards a healthier life is a step in the right direction.
So true. We've talked a lot about the physical aspects of longevity, diet, exercise, sleep. But we can't forget about the importance of our mental and emotional well-being, too.
Oh, absolutely. Those are essential pieces of the puzzle as well.
So how do we cultivate that sense of well-being, especially in a world that can feel so stressful and demanding?
Well, I think a lot of it comes back to what we were just talking about, making those healthy habits part of our lives. Things like getting enough sleep, moving our bodies, connecting with loved ones. Those things not only support our physical health, but they also nourish our minds and our
Because they
spirits.
reduce stress and boost our mood. They give us more energy and focus.
Hmm.
And they help us feel more connected to ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly. And I think it's also really important to find healthy ways to manage stress.
Because let's face it, stress is kind of unavoidable, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is, but we don't have to let it control our lives.
So what are some healthy ways to cope with stress?
Well, everyone is different, so what works for one person might not work for another.
That's
But some things that can be helpful include exercise, spending time in nature, meditation, journaling, talking to a therapist.
Those are all great suggestions. And I think it's also important to remember that it's okay to ask for help when we need it, whether it's from a friend, a family member, or a professional,
Absolutely. There's no shame in reaching out for support.
especially when it comes to our mental health. It's just as important as our physical health.
Couldn't agree more. Taking care of our mental well-being is an investment in our longevity.
It's about creating a life that we can enjoy to the fullest, both now and in the years to come.
Exactly. It's about living a life that is rich in meaning, connection, and purpose.
And those are the things that truly make life worth living.
I think so too.
So let's talk more about purpose. We touched on it earlier, but I want to dive a little deeper. How do we find our purpose? Or maybe, how do we create it?
That's a big question, and I don't think there's one right answer for everyone.
I understand.
But I do think there are some things we can do to explore our purpose and start living a more meaningful life.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, we can ask ourselves some important questions, like what are our values? What are we passionate about? What do we want our legacy to be?
Those are some deep questions.
They are, but I think they're important questions to consider because they can help us to understand what truly matters to us, what gives our lives meaning and direction.
Once we have a better sense of our values and passions, we can start to look for ways to align our lives with them.
Exactly. It might involve making some changes to our careers or our relationships, or it might be about finding new ways to express ourselves creatively or to contribute to our communities.
It's about creating a life that reflects who we are at our core.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
So it's not necessarily about finding our one true calling. It's more about creating a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling to us.
I think that's right.
And that can evolve and change over time.
Absolutely. Our purpose isn't static. It can grow and shift as we do.
I think it's also important to note that finding our purpose doesn't mean that our lives will suddenly become perfect or problem-free.
Oh, no, definitely not. Life will always have its challenges.
But when we have a strong sense of purpose, it can give us the strength and resilience to navigate those challenges.
Exactly. It gives us a reason to keep going, even when things get tough.
And it can make those difficult moments feel more bearable.
It can also help us to find meaning and growth, even in the midst of suffering.
That's such a powerful thought. We've covered so much ground today. From the importance of diet and exercise to the power of connection and purpose, it's been an incredible journey.
It really has. And I think the key takeaway here is that longevity isn't just about adding years to our lives. It's about adding life to our years.
It's about creating a life that is full of joy, meaning, and purpose.
And it's something that is within reach for all of us.
Well said. This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive. I'm feeling so inspired to continue exploring this fascinating world of longevity and well-being.
Me too.
And I hope our listeners are feeling inspired as well. So until next time, deep divers, keep living your best lives. Welcome back to the show. We've been talking all about how to live longer and healthier. And honestly, it can feel like there's so much to do, so much information out there. So, how do we make it all work without, getting totally overwhelmed?
I think the key is to remember that you don't have to be perfect. You don't need to do everything perfectly. Just focus on making small changes that you can actually stick with over time.
So instead of trying to do a complete life makeover all at once, we should just pick one or two things to focus on and build from there.
Right. It's about progress, not perfection. And those small changes can really add up over time.
It's we're not trying to climb Mount Everest all in one go. We're taking it one step at a time.
Exactly.
So maybe start with something simple, like adding an extra serving of veggies to your meals or going for a walk a few times a week.
Those are great examples. And, once you start making those small changes, you'll probably find that you feel better and have more energy, and that can motivate you to keep going, to make even more positive changes.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
Not
One good habit leads to another, and before you know it, you've created this amazing healthy lifestyle for yourself.
And remember, it's not about depriving yourself or feeling like you're missing out. It's about finding ways to enjoy the process, to make healthy living a part of your life.
It's like instead of focusing on what you can't eat, focus on all the delicious healthy foods that you can eat.
Exactly.
And instead of thinking of exercise as a chore, find activities that you actually enjoy doing, whether it's dancing, hiking, swimming, or whatever you love.
It's about making it fun.
Yeah.
So that you actually look forward to it.
And speaking of fun, we can't forget about the importance of connecting with others. We talked about how our social connections can actually help us live longer. So make time for the people you care about. Spend time with your loved ones. Join a club or group that interests you. Cultivate those relationships that bring you joy.
Those connections are so important for our well-being. They give us a sense of belonging and support, and they help us to feel more connected to something bigger than ourselves.
It's like we're not meant to go through life alone. We thrive when we have those meaningful connections.
I agree.
And, something else that can really contribute to a long and healthy life is having a sense of purpose, a reason to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, purpose can be a powerful motivator. It can give us a sense of direction and meaning, and it can help us to stay engaged and resilient in the face of challenges.
So how do we find our purpose?
Well, it's different for everyone, but I think it starts with asking ourselves some tough questions like, what are we passionate about? What are our values? What we want to contribute to the world?
And those answers might not come to us right away.
It's a journey, and it might take some time to figure it all out.
But the important thing is to keep searching, to keep exploring, to keep asking those questions.
And remember, our purpose doesn't have to be something grand or extraordinary. It can be something simple, something that brings us joy and makes us feel like we're making a difference.
It could be something like being a great parent, or a supportive friend, or a dedicated volunteer.
It's about finding what makes your heart sing.
And using your unique gifts and talents to make the world a better place.
Exactly.
So there you have it, folks. A blueprint for living a longer, healthier, and more fulfilling life. It's about making conscious choices, building healthy habits, cultivating strong connections, finding your purpose, and embracing the journey. It's been a pleasure diving into this fascinating topic with you.
It really has.
And we hope you found this deep dive to be informative and inspiring.
We hope so.
Until next time, deep divers, keep learning, keep growing, keep thriving, and most importantly, keep living your best lives.